Hello everyone, I have for us today a very interesting endgame by Jan Gustaffson against Ruslan Ponomariov. Jan Gustaffson is a very famous commentator and Ruslan Ponomariov was a world champion of chess when the federations were split. So yeah, two legends and a very legendary position, at least in my opinion, as this is probably one of my favorite positions of all time, and I definitely must show you this. So here we have a position which seems like it's equal. Maybe even one could say that white is better, but the knight seems bad, right? The knight on c8 seems like it's misplaced and it seems like it's not doing anything, while the kings seem to be in kind of a standoff here, and that white bishop is doing good. However, I would like you to stop the video, maybe put the position on the board and think about what can happen here in the position. What could be play for both sides. Alright, so the position is completely winning for black, and the Y of it is going to be incredible. So even though the kings seem that they are kind of in a standoff position here, the opposition is true here, but black's king has already infiltrated white's position. So if white needs to move the king, for example, if the king went to d2, king f3 would lead to a position where after the king moved again, e3 would fall. So with just a simple move, king g3, white needs to move the bishop, right? So everything except moving the bishop is going to allow king f3. And then again, white will be placed in another zugzwang where he would have to either move to bishop again or move the king and then lose the pawn. Why is the important placement of the king important? If the bishop b6 move is played, we can just take and then go king g2. And now, as I mentioned, yeah, we will just win the pawns and then win the game as well. So here, bishop f8 is played, as it was the only square that is legal for the bishop. And I want you to again stop and think, how will black win this? Where is the best place for the knight? Where is the best square for the knight? Think very deeply and very hard about this position. Alright, so if you said the knight can jump maybe to c4, you would be correct in the sense that that square would be good, but unfortunately it's not the best square, as the e3 would be only attackable once and it's not good enough. c3 is not good enough, as once the knight is on c3, king d2 would happen, the knight would have to move and then king e2 would happen back. d3 is also not good because b4 is defended, so the knight has to go to g3. And to get to g3 is not as easy as it seems. So the knight has to go only one route, not to go through the dark squares that are controlled by the bishop. If you try to go this way around, it will be very difficult, as g5 or I don't know, g7 square from which we can go to g3 will be controlled by the bishops. So the route is a7, b5, a3, c4, b2, d3, f2, h1, g3. And of course the king will move. So if you found this route, you have either done a lesson with me or you're a very good chess player, because I show this to all of my students probably, so they know. I even talked about this in one of the podcasts that I've been with chess journeys, as this is my favorite position. Even it was 5 years ago when it happened that I did the podcast, or maybe 4 years ago. So knight a7, we can see what happened. Bishop d6, king g2, bishop c5, knight b5, bishop e7. White doesn't have anything to do with the bishop except just wait for the impending doom. Knight a3, bishop d6, knight c4, hop, hop, hop. And now important is bishop h4 tries to stop knight getting to f2, but this hangs b4, so there is nothing he can do. Bishop e7, knight f2, and knight went to g3. Alright, so again, if bishop takes on g3, we would win the pawn endgame. so king d2 is forced. And now we can stop the video once again if you wish, but the position is pretty simple from here and pretty straightforward. So king f3, with the idea being knight f1 and winning on e3. Bishop f4 is tried, but the pawn is lost. And with this, the game is lost as well. There is no chance to hold. For example, bishop d6, knight c4, we would start pushing the pawn, and yeah, the game is done. There is nothing that we can do with white pieces to hold this pass pawn. Alright, I hope you enjoyed. Very interesting endgame, very beautiful endgame. Actually, first time I've seen this was in a book by Mihal Marin called Old Wine in New Bottles, published by Chess Informant Publishing. I highly recommend the book for many interesting endgames, many interesting opening ideas as well. So if you wish, check it out. I was fascinated by this book. Thank you for watching. Like, subscribe, comment whatever you liked about the video, and if you had something that you didn't like about the video, and see you soon for the next one.